Welcome everyone, I have Skyhawk here. This video is kind of like a part 2 to MBT's video. So you've read all the Fluffle cards, now you want to know how to play them. Should we get started, Skyhawk?
Yeah, absolutely, let's do it.
Alright, so where do you want to start with in the main deck? What card do you want to start with discussing?
I guess maybe like start with just the Fluffles, because I think, I mean, people mostly know what they do, and
Very true.
through the other profiles, I think they've dug through them, but I think maybe explaining some of like the additional utility of the monsters is good while we have people here.
So my first Fluffle is Bear.
Gotcha.
Obviously Bear is one of your 12 ways to vendor. It's also a Meister target that can summon Lilith from deck, which is quite important if you hit a Bear off vendor or something, so you just have one floating around. It's a crazy good card. I can return Polymerization to hand. It's just crazy. Like, all these cards are good. But yeah, do you want to move on to Dog? The 3 Dog. What do you think of 3 Dog, Skyhawk?
Yes. We definitely had a debate pre-event for the extravaganza if we should be playing 2 Dog or 3 Dog. And
That's true.
Spoiler, I actually did decide on 3 Dog because I only owned 2 Poly. So the 3rd Dog was the 40th card in the list. But I actually really like this ratio, and I think 3 Dog is really good. Just, it sucks to see multiple of them in your opening hand, but being a starter, if you don't see any of your other engine, is too strong to pass up. And also, Dog is just like almost objectively one of the best hits off of your toy vendor. And so if you don't see one, maximizing your chances to see a Dog off a vendor, like, really helps push your board like to like the maximum it can be, and it lets you set up all sorts of auxiliary plays with Fluffle, Sheep, and Octopus. So I really like 3 Dog just because maximizing your chances to see it off of vendor is the important thing, not necessarily seeing it in your opening hand.
Exactly. Dog is a crazy card. We've had a little bit of a look at the math behind the deck, and by playing 3 Dog, you're allowed to basically go up to 42 cards without losing any consistency, which is something that we can consider.
Slightly.
Yeah. To Penguin, the start of the water engine. What do you think of Penguin, Skyhawk?
Oh, we've got 3 Penguin, right?
Yeah. Oh, 3 Penguin. I'm sheeping.
We've mixed up our waters.
No.
I mean, I don't know why they printed this card with the effects that it has. Like, Penguin is like arguably the heart and soul of like how much you can push your engine. Like the summon from hand effect not being hard once per turn. So if you get it back off of a repair, or if you get it back off of a cross sheep, you can just keep spamming Fluffles from your hand that you've searched off of your vendors. The fact that it also can like start hands by being fusion material to draw into cards and discard cards and trigger vendors and chains that you drew, or like dump a repair to make it more valuable. The fact that it can chain block your edge chain if like you really need chain to resolve, or you can just chain block your Penguin with something else. The fact that it's a water for Bahamut Shark and for Dweller, like, there's not much more to say. It's just
crazy. I do want to point out specifically that the synergy between Penguin and Sheep is it's ridiculous. The fact is, like, Sheep can bounce a Dog or something that you've hit off a vendor, or you normal summon Dog, etc. And then Penguin can just summon it right back to get that extra link material.
Oh,
It's it's so unfair. It's so unfair. Now we can move on to the 2 Dolphin. Excuse me, but 2 Dolphin. What do you think of Dolphin, Skyhawk?
Dolphin is very strong, and I think we can talk about this a bit later. Going into the new format, there may be an argument for 3, just because seeing it with the Penguin is so strong. The reason that you play 2, I think we discussed it before, is that its effect does require extra setup. Like,
that's true.
You run a whole bunch of copies of vendor, but you do have to have a way to get that vendor in the graveyard. And like, there are a lot of ways to do it, but it does require like just a few more specific scenarios. So I think 2 Dolphin is quite good. Again, I don't understand why they printed this card. It was a common in Rise of the Duelist.
It's crazy.
The interactions where like you obviously, like, I think the most common thing you're sending this off of this is wings, but like if you already have the wings access, sending sabers so that you don't have to waste a vendor search on sabers is quite strong.
Or even Octo if you can't access Octo.
Yes. I was just gonna say that. Literally, if you need Octopus to add back like an Edge Imp Scythe or something, or you just already have Wings and Sabers, Octopus is like your third send. Octopus is like your most frequent sends in order are Wings and then Sabers and then Octopus.
Hands where you send Octopus are already just popping off to the moon though, so it can chain block. What do you think of 3 Dolphin in builds that play Popper Up as a way to get Vendor and Graveyard quicker, if that makes any sense?
I think Popper Up might even have like a bigger argument to only play 2, just because like you not only do you have a higher chance to just see Dolphin in your opening hand, but you have a much easier discard outlet to get a Vendor in the grave. It's the same thing for lists that play Golden Lord, because if you like see Vendor Golden Lord, you can like you can just search the Dolphin and then set up the play that way. So I don't think I think 3 Dolphin would specifically be like a droll combat mechanism.
Yeah.
Just to see like that, just to see Penguin Dolphin more often.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. We've got Octopus, Goldie Oct and the 3 Bears, the heart and soul, the cutest of all Fluffles. Tell me about this card, Skyhawk. How insane is Octopus? Like,
well, it's been bought out, so I apologize for doing the deck profile if people want to pick this up. It's still a very cheap deck, but it sucks that it's like 10 USD now.
Yeah.
Octopus as a one-of, like previous Fluffle builds just like didn't play it. But like the fact that actually, do you want to like explain to them the utility with Octopus and Edge Imp Scythe as a pivot move?
Octopus it's ridiculous. For pivoting, guys, we're basically meaning like if you, I think what you're implying, Skyhawk, is if you hit like a Necro Fusion off your Vendor, if you hit Necro off Vendor, what you can do is Meister is still a card that you still can play in a combo deck, especially in this combo, where you just you tribute, instead of tributing the Sabers to summon Lilith, you just summon Scythe instead from the deck. And then Octopus can add back your Scythe, and you still have a way to pop Scythe on their turn. All these Scythes, oh my gosh, I can't speak, but like, yeah, you can. That's what makes a good pilot, as Skyhawk and I were saying. You can adapt to interaction. You can adapt to unfortunate luck. And then when you get the good luck off Fender, how do you lose? You know what I mean? If you hit the dog off Fender, you've won the game. Just crazy.
Yeah, and as well, the additional utility of Octopus being able to blank interaction on your Scythe if you've set up Octopus Scythe, interaction on the artifact Scythe rather, to be able to still resolve its effect, or the utility of, because you play Octopus and you can recycle your banished stuff, it allows you to play 1 Wings to boost combo consistency in your opening hand, which is really strong.
It's huge, yeah.
It literally lets you fit like the space in the deck for the necessary combo pieces in Necro and Lilith and Meister and that. So Octopus is the one of is very strong.
Did we talk about? I think we talk about 1-for-1 here as well. 1-for-1 is it's just incredible. It's another Fluffle name, but it's so much better if you, instead of playing the second Wings, if that makes sense. Like seeing the 1-for-1, you can pitch any Fluffle, any Edge Imp, and then summon Octo, and Octo just adds it right back. You know what I mean? Free summon. It makes Cross Sheep. 1-for-1's crazy. Do you agree, Skyhawk? Do you agree it's a really good card?
Yeah, I agree that it's really strong, especially if you're trying to like really tighten down to 40 cards. 1-for-1 I think is very good as your 40th card. Just again because it lets you see, it's basically another copy of Wings, but it has the utility of also getting Octopus. I think if you were to push the 42 and you wanted to play like a random 3-of card, like a droplet, I think 1-for-1 is the card to cut.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but if you're playing a 40 card list, I do really like 1-for-1. So if you're testing this deck out, try it for yourself, and if you're finding the 1-for-1 isn't working out for you, then try a 42 card build and play like a 3-of playset of anything else and see how that works for you.
Yep.
In 40, I really like 1-for-1.
I think we'll just quickly talk about Wings first, and then we'll move on to the pride and joy of Skyhawk.
Do we need to talk about Wings?
Wings is crazy. This is where your opponent should interact with you. That's all I'm gonna say. They should hit the Wings. Wings is insane. The craziest thing I will say, Skyhawk, is that you can sometimes bait like 2 pieces of interaction still to just get Wings in graveyard and pop off to the moon. It's crazy, and I mean, I don't know. It's the send off Dolphin. It's a target for 1-for-1. Octopus loops it back and puts it into your graveyard for turn 3, which is just, it's absurd. It's absurd.
Yeah. I don't know. If you thought Sky Striker Mobilize and Engage was good because it draws you 1 and then you get to pick a card, Fluffle Wings draws you 2 and then you get to pick a card.
perfect analogy. We'll move on to sheep. I'm not sure if sheep's your favorite, but sheep is definitely incredible.
Yeah, sheep might be my favorite card in the list, just because it seems so like unassuming. It's like, oh, you control a Fluffle, you can summon it, but like once you realize that the hand summon effect isn't once per turn, so you can add it back with Octopus and then get another free summon to extend into Link plays, or the fact that if you have a Penguin set up on field with any other Fluffle and you special sheep, it's literally 4 free bodies. And
Crazy.
again, you can still do like Octo Sheep loops later. The fact that for weird hands, like a dog can just add sheep and make your Link 2. Like literally being able to turn dog into a Link 2 is huge.
It is.
For situations where you don't want to commit to a Penguin normal summon, but you have poly material and you want to make a cross sheep, you can dog add sheep and then do it that way.
I would say that. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. I was just gonna say sheep is what adds, I think, a lot of complexity for people that are just picking up the deck. Would you agree with that, Skyhawk? Because sheep is something that it's really hard to have the foresight in order to optimize with specifically Fluffle sheep.
Yeah, it's very much. Another interesting interaction that can come up along this line is like if you can't get your Edge Imp chain out of hand, Fluffle dog into sheep. Sheep return dog to special chain from hand. Sheep can summon from hand or graveyard.
Crazy.
So if you need to start your combo, you can like, and you literally don't have a discard outlet. Sheep is your way to cheat that discard outlet. If you see like dog chain and nothing else, and then you can use that to start your plays. If and the other like technical play aspect of sheep is if you decide that you can abuse that Penguin summon, or if you decide that you can't, and then it's better to just commit to your Link play early by using the sheep. And also another interaction that can separate like experienced people and people that are still learning is like you can, if you don't want to put any of your cards on top of the deck, sheep can bring back your sabers from Meister to pop.
Yeah,
and that's huge.
Sheep is, it's incredible. The fact that this deck can search mid combo is something I should mention as well. Like if you draw into a vendor or your wings pops vendor and you draw all your other Fluffles that you need, Sheep is just as a card that you can just search in the middle of your combo to all of a sudden get like an extra 4 pieces of Link material is crazy. It's just absurd. One of the best cards in the deck. Do we talk about the Pendulum card now, Skyhawk?
I mean, this is the card with the most like untapped potential if people want to do some exploration. Like, I mean, I told the story about how this was found, so I won't do it here. But yeah, suffice to say, it was a combination of both of our insanity. But like the fact that this card can summon any fiend that's level 1 to 4 gives it like a whole bunch of utility. Something that I actually forgot to mention in the MBT video, I was planning on it, I implied it, but the fact that Meister is also access to Edge Imp Chain for hands where you don't have poly access, because you can just tribute any of your level 4 Fluffles to summon Chain from deck. Like previously, and Mr. Ease was talking with me about this. Ease is someone who is instrumental in like teaching the both of us going back
exactly
on what to do with these cards. Edge Imp, the fact that Edge Imp Chain was previously like the most disconnected card from the list. You could get it by a Patchwork or you could draw it, and that was pretty much it. Meister gives you one like extra way to get to Chain, and having that like 7th copy, like if you really need it, depending on your hand, is so huge.
We should also mention the fact that Meister is a resource on turn 3, which I don't think you may not have mentioned it in the MBT video, but it doesn't go away, which means on the crackback it stays on the field, so you can just like tribute off a normal summon dog or anything that you add on their turn by popping one of your vendors. You tribute away, summon Chain, link off Chain, grab Frightfur Fusion, and then proceed to just blow them out of the game completely if for some reason you haven't won. Do we talk about the Edge Imps now? I feel like we should. What do you think of the Edge Imp ratio, Skyhawk? What do you think of the ratio of 3-1-1?
Yeah, so I think it's quite good. I do think this is probably the place where there's a little bit more room for play. You have to play 3 Edge Imp Chain. It's literally it's arguably the second best card. Like, no, okay, maybe the third best card. Foolish Burial Goods is probably the best card.
Yeah.
But like I would say Edge Imp Chain is like the 3rd best card in your list. You should max on it just because it searches like your whole deck. It's the way that you get to Meister. It's the way that you can get to Frightfur Fusion into pinch. It gets you to Patchwork. It can get you to repair for weird hands. like just very strong. One Sabers. I think one Sabers is good for consistency purposes, but I could see an argument like if you're playing 3 Poly, you might want to play 2 Sabers, just because I imagine hard opening a Sabers is better. For like hands where you would want to pop your own toy vendor. So there's like an argument to think about 2 Sabers, but I would test for 1 and see if like you really find yourself needing the second. We don't really need the turn 3 Frightfur Fusion into Tiger, because if we're going second, we're probably not banishing our Sabers with Necro Fusion.
That's
one.
true, yeah.
And 2, like if you find yourself wanting to do Frightfur Fusion into a Tiger on turn 3, then I would definitely play 2 Sabers just so you can have access to it. But I really like 1. For Scythe, this is definitely the thing that probably could like change the most based on formats, because this card is just really, really, really strong going second. But going first, it does very little aside from set up your Octopus play. So this is the thing where if you wanted to hedge a little bit more, you could try to set up your combo to end on the edge Imp Scythe instead of the Necro. But if you believe that like the Necro Fusion blowout is the best way to win your game going first, then I think 1 is the right way to go.
Yeah, Scythe's a very strong card. However, hands where you just brick completely unplayable normally contain 1 or 2 of this card, which is why we've cut it down to minimum. We have now the 2, I guess we should say, that work hand in hand. We've got Scythe and Lilith. Scythe and Lilith, the best Fluffle cards, of course. What do you think of Scythe, Skyhawk?
I don't know why this card is legal. I to be frank with you guys, I think there's a chance this gets banned. Like, there's a reason that over the last month, a lot of decks have been like, hey, wait a minute, we can pop Artifact Scythe on our turn, and if they don't have Droplet, we win. This card is very, very strong, and the fact that this deck specifically is so good at abusing Artifact Dagda makes it even better. And also, like, drawing it is fine, like, so long as your, like, hand is reasonable.
Even milling it off a vendor.
Yeah, well, because you can just like set up Dagda and then pop Dagda. So like seeing Scythe and discarding off a vendor is totally fine. It just means you have to end on your Dagda. So that's something of note. As well, like the fact that it's just a big body, like 2200 attack is no joke for some dingus that you get to summon for free. And also the fact that it's not the effect when it's special summoned is not once per turn is also really big, because it helps you like blank interaction on Scythe, like a Droplet, and then you can pop like Dagda Scythe and summon your resummon your Droplet or resummon your Scythe, sorry, to trigger it again. Like the specifics of how this card interacts makes it very chewy, and it also makes like a board of Toad and Appaloosa seems very, very simple, very, very hard to out if you can't access your extra deck.
Very hard, yeah. I will also mention, like, the fact that this deck can inherently play through like Droplet plus Cosmic. It's not fair. It's not fair that we can loop Scythe. I remember I think MBT's reaction when you said that Fluffle could return any monster that's banished. I mean, Octopus can return any monster that's banished. It's absurd. Obviously, the partner in crime, we have Lilith, the key to the deck. What do you think of Lilith, and what do you think of hard drawing / milling Lilith?
Oh, hard drawing Lilith is fine. And this is another thing that's like one of those like weird interactions with the deck. And again, I didn't bring this up in the MBT video for time reasons. But if you draw Lilith, you can just bring it back. Like, you have so many different ways to deal with Lilith. If you draw Lilith for some hands, you might like just stack it back to your deck with Sabers, and then Meister Tribute Sabers and just summon the Lilith from the top of your deck. Easy.
Easy.
If you discard it off of a toy vendor, or you rip it off a toy vendor and it goes to graveyard, you can just summon it back with Cross Sheet. And trigger its effect that way, and then maybe you just end on Dagda instead of an Appaloosa, depending on if you've had to use your repair at this point. The fact that if you can also bring it back with Dugares if you choose to play Dugares. So
crazy.
Drawing the Lilith is perfectly fine, and also just as an experimentation note, you could experiment with playing like a couple more Lilith targets, because sometimes like people are like, oh, I drew Necro Fusion. No, well, you drew Necro Fusion. That's good. You don't have to use your other searches on it. But like if as something to maybe experiment with, you could try a couple of interesting targets. Some stuff people have brought up to me in the past is Imperm, just as like a hand trap slot that you could set if you see a Necro. Artifact Sanctum, if you just want to have a better way to get to Scythe or a Lancia or something. You could play Eradicator Epidemic Virus and boost like a saber tooth or a tiger, and try to win that way.
Yeah.
There's D barrier. There's a different dimension ground. You could try all sorts of weird stuff.
I will want to note, if you do want to play just one more target and still want to play the same deck, you can just play one trap trick for if you mill specifically one Necro Fusion.
Yes, that is also very good too.
Yeah, it's crazy card. We're on the spells now. We have Called by the Grave. What do you think of Called by the Grave in this deck specifically?
Oh well, your opponent activates Stroll and you chain combo, and that's the end of the game.
That is the end of the game.
Yeah. Card's very unfair. It's quite good going first. It's quite good going second. And the thing is, right? Called by the Grave is defense against the interaction that matters. Right now, people are playing a lot of like blowout cards like Nibiru and Phantasme, and Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplets and stuff and Lightning Storm and stuff like that. And Called by the Grave is the one that like can insulate you against other disruptions that cause you a bit more problems.
Yeah, I will also mention that like if you don't have an Appaloosa up, but you set this card, they've hand trapped you to oblivion. All you have is like a set Necro Fusion, a Cross Sheep, set Called by the Grave, and you Necro Fusion. They try and bell, and then you can just chain Called by the Grave and just still have the combo.
Yeah, it is interesting you mentioned. I guess we can talk about it when we get to Necro Fusion. But yeah, that's a good point. Is that it can blank a lot of the interaction that you actually care about.
Foolish Burial Goods literally engage. It's crazy. This card, like, get freaking what is it, Dolphin? This card to send vendor search Dolphin. Absurd. Like, it's crazy. If you see Foolish Burial Goods, you can probably just win the game. It's the best Fluffle name in the entire deck.
Oh, like, the thing is, right, probably one of, like, the simpler 2-card combos in the deck is Penguin, Foolish Burial Goods.
Yeah.
Because you just, like, Foolish Burial Goods, I mean, hand dependent, obviously, but, like, if you want to be, like, greedy about it, or you have some other kind of protection, Foolish Burial Goods to send vendor to add Dolphin, normal Penguin, Penguin effect summon Dolphin, Dolphin set vendor send Wings, make Bahamut Shark, detach Dolphin summon Toad, and then you have Wings Dolphin to draw 2 and then send your vendor for another search. Like...
Draw 2 and send vendor. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The reason Foolish Burial Goods is just generally better than drawing Toy Vendor for most hands is that it sets it up in the graveyard for Dolphin.
Yeah.
So like and like you could if you only see goods, you can get like a dog to try to dig for another vendor, or like if you have other ways to get your Fluffles in grave. There's just so much garbage you can do with 50 goods, and it's also like nobody ashes Foolish Burial Goods. Like
no.
Who's gonna ash Foolish Burial Goods? They're gonna wait, and then when they see Toy Vendor, they're like, "What am I gonna ash Toy Vendor? No way!" So they wait and they wait, and then
they wait for the Patchwork, but you didn't draw Patchwork. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you summon Toad, and they're like, "Oh no!"
It's just crazy. I will also mention that I think in the very early days, like day 1 of me pitching this deck to you, you were like, Outback, let's play 2 of this, and I was like, Skyhawk, I would play 6 Foolish Burial Goods if we could play 6 Foolish Burial Goods.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't believe you, and then I started playing the deck, and I was like, oh wait, this is the best card.
This is the best card on the list. Frightfur Fusion. I think I should note quickly that while a lot of decks focus on fusioning, like a lot of Fluffle decks focus a lot on the fusion summon, this deck not so much. So what do you think of Frightfur Fusion, and what are some of its niche applications?
Yeah, so Frightfur Fusion is almost exclusively for turn 3. It's just something you can get off of your Edge Imp chain. To handle certain shenaniganry, and then it lets you do like, say you've like used a whale and then like you link off your tiger, you can like Frightfur Fusion into Sabertooth, banishing one of your fusions to get tiger. It's also a really good way to do like Kraken lethal, on the crackback, and it's also quite good for going second. Frightfur Fusion going second, like you blank all your opponent's interaction, and then you either blow them out with a tiger that pops their whole board, or you just make a big Chungus whale. And
whale control, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, whale control's a real thing.
Yeah.
And another cool thing is, like, you going second to Dogmatica boards, you can, like, Frightfur Fusion into a whale. If they try to punishment your whale, you just chain whale target itself, and they don't have anything big enough in their extra deck to pop the whale. The other thing, Frightfur Fusion can very rarely come up as a combo piece. Generally speaking, you won't want to banish your sabers, but it can come up where you have like a weird hand and you use your extra search off of chain for like Frightfur Fusion. It mostly comes up for hands where you have to hard make tiger early.
Yeah.
To pop a vendor to get a search, and then like you have to link off your tiger to get to Cross Sheep. Then Frightfur Fusion is good just to like be able to loop resources.
I would say it's quite I will say it's quite common that, as like if someone's picking up the deck, don't prioritize Frightfur Fusion. But if you do see hands that are very edge imp heavy, like for example, you have Meister, you have Chain, you've already like used a Patchwork or something. You've got maybe 1.5 Fluffles or like 1 to 2 Fluffles, and that's a kind of hand where you may need Frightfur Fusion as a way to trigger Cross Sheep to start your resource loop. We've got Patchwork now, Skyhawk. Patchwork, the card.
Engage was good. You got to pick both cards.
Oh my gosh, what do you think of Patchwork? What do you think of Patchwork? Do we even need to say anything?
People were really hyping this up. There was a reason people were like hyping this up on release, right? Is like this card is so dumb. Like, obviously, like fusion decks in general have needed this in the past, but because we're only making 1 fusion per turn, I don't know, but
if that, yeah. We should also mention that at least the way I pilot this deck, you don't always need to make a fusion summon on your turn specifically. Sometimes the Fluffles are so good at just link climbing and making XCs is that you can just like pass on a Toad, Dagda, Cross Sheep without even fusion summoning, and then just Necro Fusion on their turn. Patchwork's crazy. It's just insane. We move on to Repair now. Repair is growing on me, Skyhawk. It's not even as much of a brick as people would think it is. What is some of the applications that Repair enables us to have?
So, I mean, obviously the fact that Cruel Whale can send an extender from your deck to the graveyard is...
Unfair.
Like,
Unfair.
Completely bonkers. Like, it is absurd. And, like, that going second, if you, like, post side, if you, like, Edge Imp Scythe someone into Penguin, that's pop one of their cards, draw 2, discard 1, and also bin an extender for the next turn from your grave. Like, that's from your deck. That's totally nuts. And, like, it means your draws are going to be better as well. But,
yeah.
Its first effect mostly comes up with Tiger hands. So, like, hands where you hard make Tiger to pop a vendor. The fact that you can put that Tiger back in your extra deck and then just summon any Fluffle. So, like, you can summon a Penguin, summon a dog from hand if you had to link stuff off into a Cross Sheep. Like the fact that you can return stuff like a whale, so that you have, like, instead of playing 3 whale, you can return a whale back to the extra. It just the wonderful utility this card has for extending plays, like banishing this into a penguin, into a dog, into a sheep, is especially like banishing this into penguin, dog, sheep, under like a toad.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We should also mention that you said a little bit, but going second against Dragon Link specifically, if you have the Edge Imp Scythe, you can pop the spheres, you can send Penguin Chain, whatever, get 2 draws, get a search, get a discard, pitch Vendor, get another search, and then dump the Repair. So they have to waste all their resources to still full combo you. And it doesn't really matter because you can just attack over it with a whale, which means they probably have to waste their Levier to not rip a card out of your hand, but to actually pop the whale.
Yeah, well, they have like a really hard time even getting to the levy, because
that's true. Yeah.
If they choose to levy pop the whale instead of rip a card out of your hand, like they've had to dump a whole bunch of the resources to even make an LP zone live.
Mm-hmm.
So even if like they might not even go for levy at that point.
Yeah, and you have 7 hand cards.
yeah.
7 hand cards plus Patchwork.
Sure.
Yeah, sure, have fun. Yeah.
I drew into a second Patchwork. You ripped 1. Oh
no. Okay, to Poly. We are now like thinking this could be correct. This could have been correct the whole time. What do you think about that, Skyhawk?
I mean, it's a good thing if it is, because then I can be like, see, I'm a genius. I only needed to own 2.
The third doesn't even come up, you idiots.
Yeah. There's debate about this, because I think there are probably some formats where hard fusioning to play around some hand traps is strong, just because, like, you could, in theory, against a droll, for example, you could, like, you see Poly Penguin Chain more often.
Yeah.
And that being able to, like, dig through as much as you can before you get drolled is very strong. But right now, specifically, I think 2 was quite good. Again, because you're only ever making 1 fusion on your turn. You're effectively playing like 5 copies of it because of really 8 or 9 copies if you want to get like really greedy and say that Meister is also Polymerization. Yes. You're playing like you're basically playing 9 copies of Poly. So that's already a lot of polys.
And then you can loop it back with Dolphin as well. So
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
loop it back with Dolphin. In a pinch, you can loop it back with Bear. So I like 2 is fine. Again, I want to reiterate, there are probably formats where you should be playing 3.
Nice.
But 2 right now is felt pretty good.
Ease did say that he plays 2 poly and 1 poly with a different artwork to see in what case hitting that 3rd poly off a vendor just ends your entire turn.
Yep. Yeah,
Which is something we should mention.
testing
Yeah.
tool for ratios. Yes.
We'll move on now to toy vendor. What do you think of?
Why did they make this?
I think
Why did they do this?
everybody's always known this card was crazy. I think it's not once per turn rotor. Going second. The fact is, you can use this card like pitch a chain or something. Your opponent may even have to interact with it because if you hit a dog off the toy vendor or a penguin or basically any Fluffle name Skyhawk, you're winning. You're winning the game. Going second. If they clear it going second, it's awful. You can always set this card. You can pop it with Tiger. You can pop it with Wings. You can discard it off Barricade Borg. You can add it back with Barricade Borg Blocker as well. It's crazy. It's insane.
Toy vendor is also just like the best bait.
Yeah.
Like if somebody is like if you stack something with the sabers and like you didn't set up a card or something, and they're like, oh, they stacked the dog, I had better ash this toy vendor. You're like, okay, I'll banish Wings.
The fact is, they even need insight of the matchup to even know that that's an interaction that you can do.
So like, this deck being complicated is an advantage to you because your opponent will also have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, just like us. Necro Fusion, Skyhawk, the thumbnail card. What do you think of Necro Fusion? How insane is this to resolve on a remote duel?
If you resolve Necro Fusion, you just win. Like it was like, and every time that like I revealed Necro Fusion off of Lilith, my opponent was like, what is that card? I was like, well, let me read it to you.
Where's the Ice Dragon's prison? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, literally, like resolving Necro Fusion is often just the end of the game, and that's why we decided to build around it. Is because Tiger pop like as many cards as you want is total garbage. If for some reason you can't like get your sabers in graveyard, you can just summon a Cruel Whale off of this thing.
Yeah, and also to play around missing timing as well, you can summon Cruel Whale.
Yeah, a hard drawing, hard. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this card can make Tiger miss timing, so you do have to be careful of that.
Yes.
But Whale cannot miss timing, so if it is gonna miss timing, you can just summon Whale and you still get to +2 infinity.
Yeah. So for example, if you set up your Necro Fusion and they like activate a Cosmic Cyclone on the Necro Fusion, for example, that is something that can like dodge the Tiger blowouts. You can just summon Cruel Whale. And then that can trigger like all of your stuff. Although it depends on like if they've committed to anything. Whale does have to pop 1 card on both sides of the field in order to resolve. So you do have to be a bit careful about that. But if you want to prevent your Tiger from missing timing, time Necro Fusion on the resolution of a chain, because even if like Tiger is summoned, so long as Tiger is summoned at the end of the chain, you're totally fine to use this back.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you time your Necro Fusion well, because I know some people had sent me messages being like, Tiger's not popping cards. And I'm like, well, you should probably read it. But it's understandable, because that's like a really like dense part of the game. Missing the timing is like a very dumb mechanic.
Yes.
Another thing about Necro is that hard drawing it is a very strong way to be playing around draw, because it's a very easy way for like very subpar hands to still set up like Dogga pop 2 and then Scythe block.
Through a draw, which is just, it's crazy to think about, because we'll talk about it later, but the 3-card combo that you hinted at in MBT's video plays through not only Droll, but it also plays through Nibiru, which is it's mental to think about. Do we move on to the side and side theory specifically?
Yeah, sure, let's do it. Because I think like most of the extra deck is pretty standard.
Yeah. I guess we should mention Theo should honestly be access code. Would you agree with that, Skyhawk?
Oh, you mean Phoenix?
Yeah, Phoenix, yeah.
If you own access code, I would recommend it. Solely just due to the fact that a boosted Cruel Whale at 3,900 and then a 4,300 access code is lethal. And also, if you own access code, all of your like other link monsters in the Cross Sheep, the Board Blocker, the Dogda, and the Appaloosa are all different attributes.
Crazy.
So you will. So like if you go through all of your link toolbox, you'll get 4 pops, and if you don't make Borg, then you get 3. So that's quite good. And as well, like if your Appo stays on board because Necro Fusion blew out your opponent, you can make a 6300 access code, and that's pretty cool. If you don't own access codes, and there are literally like 30 other cards you can play in the slot, and they're all good. The best ones that come to mind, I think, are IP, because IP into your Appaloosa once you've triggered your Cross Sheep is quite good. And it's good if you're low resource. Another like interesting substitute is Tornado Dragon, because if you can't get to Necro, then having Tornado to pop your Scythe is nice.
Very true.
Or if you've set up like an Imp Scythe in your hand, but for some reason you can't access the Necro, so Tornado is a very budget option.
I will mention Tornado can do like it can play around the Cosmic on the Necro. Additionally, you can pop a Vendor on your opponent's turn if you don't have another Fluffle name to fuse with Scythe. Crazy card.
Something else to note: you can pop a Vendor on your own turn with Tornado Dragon.
Very true.
So that is also something to consider when making budget picks. But yeah, so access code if you own it, but if not, like don't sweat it. I don't own one. I didn't play one at the event. There are like 30 cards you can play.
Very true. Fusion ratios, they're all pretty standard. This is like the 6 that you have to play.
This is like the only thing we can agree on. Is the right fusion ratios?
Yes. I think originally we were on 1 Tiger, and I think I was the one that was like, Skyhawk, this card's bad at 2, and you were like, no, Outback. We can fusion on our own turn to neg 2 to go plus 16.
We can summon fusion monsters on our turn? Who knew?
What? That's crazy. Anyway, side deck. Lancia's crazy. Lancia's searchable. You can Lancia and Scythe your opponent, which is very fair. Yep. What do you think of Lancia, Skyhawk?
Lancia is very good right now. I mean, it's obviously quite strong against Dino. And going forward, if Lancia is less good in the format, it's also quite good against Dragon Link. It doesn't stop them, but it stops them from killing you, and it shuts off a lot of their advantage. In theory, depending on how formats shift in the future, you could cut this down to 1. The fact that because of how Dogda works with Necro Fusion, you can set the artifact Scythe on your turn with Dogda, and then when you activate Necro Fusion, you can change Dogda and set Lancia from your deck. And then after you Tiger, you can Tiger to pop the Lancia and the Scythe. They'll both summon themselves, and then you can Lancia your opponent on top of Scythe locking them.
I don't know what to say, Skyhawk. It's crazy. We've got Droll. Droll is the next big hand trap, we will say, for Lightning Overdrive. What do you think of Droll moving forward and against this deck as well?
We like to see Droll in our hand, and we don't like to see it in our opponent's hand.
Very true. Very true.
It's a very good card. Generally speaking, formats where you have to play Droll are signs of formats that are a bit wonky. This one might be a bit of an exception. Like, I mean, in Spiral format, everybody had to play Droll. Yeah. So it was one of the only things that stopped them. And it's one of the only things that stops this deck.
Very
but
true.
Necro Fusion helps to insulate us a little bit. And, I mean, Toad is a pretty cool card.
I will say that we can... the thing about this deck, especially if you pilot it correctly, moving forward into Lightning Overdrive format, the 2 choke points where they can Droll you, either you have no monsters on field, or you have a Toad on field. Skyhawk, as something you would have noticed as well. Because you have to search to get to your Penguin Dolphin combo, but when you are searching, you don't actually need to have monsters on field, so you can Gamma the Droll, and then after that you can Toad the Droll. But again, best case scenario is they just don't have it and we win. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah. The Ease was mentioning, and I think this was something that he drove into both of us. Gamma is obviously like a strong option to combat this, and like the amount that you can do in this deck without ever committing a body to the board is quite strong. For reasonable hands, you can set up Bear Wings and then they like have to Ash Wings, or like even just activating Patchwork. People who don't know the matchup will read Patchwork and be like, oh, you add 2 cards with 1 card? I will Ash.
Yes.
Or I will Droll after that happens, because clearly there's a lot of searching going on, and then you can just be like, Gamma. So like if you wanted to like make room in this list for Gamma, you could cut 1 for 1 and then just play the Gamma package.
I will even say,
Oh yeah, no, sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that potentially next format we could be looking at changing the end board away from the Necro Fusion and more towards having Gamma in the main and then ending with a Lambda up the top to Gamma them on their turn. But just something to consider, yeah, food for thought.
Yeah, that's an option, and then those boards would be setting up like Edge Imp Scythe, or Edge Imp Scythe to pop the artifact Scythe, or Tornado Dragon, for example. You could adjust it that way very easily. Yeah.
Speaking of Scythe, Edge Imp Scythe, yeah, what do you think of the two in the side? Is it the best side deck card? Is it the best hand trap in the deck?
Yeah. Every time you see this card with Penguin going second, often you just win. I mean, it's a 2-card combo, but like Edge Imp Scythe Penguin pop Pyretic Seal is often just gamed on its own.
Crazy.
The fact that you can dig through your deck and fix your hand is crazy. The fact that you get a pop is crazy. Whale sending an extender on your opponent's turn is nuts. And if they want it, like you protect your whale, you have to deal with it. The cool thing about playing Gamma in this too is like, say you like, Ease told me about this. Say you like Edge Imp Scythe Penguin into Gamma. If you draw Gamma off of your Penguin, you can choose to destroy Cruel Whale instead of protecting it, and then you have Gamma.
Jeez.
So the fact that you can do it that way is really strong. It can dig for your blowout cards like Twin Twisters and stuff. So Edge Imp Scythe is basic. It's kind of like Phantasme, but it also destroys a card. If you see it with Penguin, so it's like it's 2 cards, but you also get a pop, and then you get a big body.
And it's also Balinks as well. Crazy.
Yeah, so if you choose to like clear your whale, you also have protection in grave for the next turn for your fusion plays. So like Torrential Tribute can just go away. It's very good, and we play it in the side just because it's so strong, and there could be an argument in the future to move it to the main, but
that's true.
I love siding this card in. It feels so nice to open this.
We've got the 4 back row hate cards. How good? We'll skip over Duster. That's pretty standard. But how good is Twin in specifically this deck? How good is Twin in specifically this deck?
Specifically in this deck, it's so stupid. I mean, I mentioned it, but like Twin Twisters discard Vendor, Twin Twisters discard Chain. It gives you just a very high chance to win, especially because the reason, like being a quick play spell, being able to pop 2, being able to get advantage off of your discard in like a really unfair way, being able to get rid of something like Shaddoll Schism, or being able to hold it for the main phase and chain it to Schism, against like a dogmatic Doll player that sets like that literally just sets like Schism Punishment, just being able to hit both of them, and then you've completely just ended their interaction for the turn. Just very, very strong. And I really like this over the other back row removal just because you can get advantage over your discard.
I am going to mention as well that just like Necro Fusion is bad going second, Twin is good going second, but you can sub them out, and this actually has happened. It's come up where if you're going against like a Dogmatica player, for example, they may think that you are a going second deck game 2 or whatever. They just want to go second, something like that. They got a blowout, etc. And you slide in Twin without like thinking you're going second. Twin is another way to pop Scythe, which is just it's crazy. It happened to me where I had to go Twin, pop my own Vendor and my own Scythe on their turn because they made me go first when I thought I was going second. Very good card. Very good card. Dark Ruler.
Part of the end board.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think Dark Ruler was the card that underperformed the most. Funny enough, I mentioned this, but I would rather have, anytime that I would have seen Dark Ruler, I would much rather have seen Eldritch the Golden Lord. So I think there are better cards to play. If you don't own Golden Lord and you don't own Droplets, Dark Ruler is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But the fact this deck puts out a ton of damage, and you want to be able to abuse that going second. And I also think like with Dark Ruler specifically, against stuff like Dragon Link, Dark Ruler doesn't solve your problem really. That you still got the bodies on board. They can still tribute their spheres to get advantage, and they still have their tidying, right? Something like Droplet can blank more interaction and plus you a lot better than Dark Ruler does. So you can like start like digging through your deck with something like the Droplet.
Yeah.
And with Golden Lord, you can actually deal with the tidying if your hand needs to like get rid of the tidying in order to play. So Golden Lord, I think is just better removal overall for boards that have already set up.
I guess with Golden Lord,
be,
yeah. So you can go Skyhawk.
Oh, I was just gonna say it could be dependent on the format because Dark Ruler might be better against Dry Trap. So
Yes.
there will be shifts to be made, but I would say that just for the event specifically, I think Dark Ruler was probably the worst card in the side.
Specifically, we should say for if you are playing Golden Lord on the side, potentially instead of playing Access Code as your Flex Link 2, you can play Verte, because I'm pretty sure Vendor plus Golden Lord is lethal, correct? With if you play Verte for the fusion summon.
I believe it's
Crazy.
YGO on YouTube who posted the video.
Yes,
if
I think
find
so.
It, maybe we can link it. But Eldritch the Golden Lord and Toy Vendor itself is a 2-card OTK. That also clears a card.
Very unfair. It's crazy.
Very unfair. Yeah.
Okay, I think that is the deck profile. Siding theory, it's pretty standard, I would say. Going second, you can obviously take out the Necro Fusions, the Lilith, the Scythe, and potentially even the Meister if you don't need it. But apart from that, it's pretty standard. I guess we should move on to the. Now you know what these cards do. Let's play them.
Yeah, I do have one quick note about siding. Is that because you have 2 Edge Imp Scythe in the side, and you have you'll because of the 2 you'll have like a 1 of, and then you'll have ideally like 4 play sets of cards. If you choose to side out 1 for 1, so you side out like your Necro Fusion, you side out Frightfur, Meister, and Lilith, and that's 5, and then you side out Artifact, Scythe, and 1 for 1, and like maybe side out a bear or something. So that's 8 slots. So you plug in your 2, and then you put 2 play sets of cards in.
Yes.
So for siding, if basically you side out like those 7 slots, and then you pick 1 card. So like for example, if Called by the Grave would be bad going second against a list, you take that out, and that's your 8th. And then like maybe a bear or something would be like an 8th, or just as like something to rip. So that's generally how I would plan to side is 2 play sets of a thing. So like against back row, it would be Golden Lord and Twin Twisters and the Edge Imp Scythes.
Yes.
And then against combo, it's the Edge Imp Scythes and the Drills and Lenses. So.
Thank you for that, Skyhawk. I guess we'll move on to now the upcoming format. Is there anything we should note? I think we've covered most of it already. Droll is going to be a big thing. This deck is going to have to adapt and innovate even more than it already has to combat Droll. I should mention that Trap Tri-Brigade against this deck. What happens going first when you're playing against Trap Tri-Brigade, Skyhawk?
You disrupt their normal summon, and they set 4 cards, and you destroy all of them with Tiger. So they just lose. This deck absolutely destroys Trap Tri-Brigade. They have no way to interact with your end board, and they have no way to like set up. So like post side, they probably side out the traps for a bunch of blowouts, but like game 1, if you go first, you just destroy them.
Yes. We should also mention that if they do end up like baiting your interaction, right, they've got a really good hand, they have side support, everything like that, and they pass on like a set revolt because they can't extract summon that turn because of the Scythe. That 1 banish is not going to matter. Even though they get to go like +2 off the Nerval and the kit, you're going to OTK them through a banish. It doesn't really matter, if you know what I mean. Alright guys, so here we're going to do some combo structuring. We're going to try and make it as linear as possible. So I'm going to ask Skyhawk, what is stuff that you're looking out for specifically? Like, what kind of hand do you want, and what kind of point of resource loop do you want to get to?
So one of the main things is you want to see a Fluffle name. That's the reason we're playing quite a lot of them. Seeing a Fluffle name just makes your hands way better. Obviously, like Penguin and Dolphin are very nice to see. Dolphin is quite accessible through FB goods, but like if your hand has a Penguin in it, you have a much higher chance of winning the game, just because you can do hard polish stuff. Foolish Burial Goods obviously is very strong. One of your 12 ways to vendor is quite nice. Basically, what makes a very strong, good hand is access to your Fluffle engine and access to a poly play.
Very true.
Both of those things are what will help you dig through. Yeah, those are what will help you dig through your deck for the rest of the plays you're going to make. And those are also the things that are dead. So that's hard opening a poly, getting a patchwork. Something else of note to like gauge how your hand is going to be is figure out what cards you already have that you don't need to use your Edge Imp Chain search for. So for example, if you open Patchwork, Patchwork to get Edge Imp Chain, and then Edge Imp Chain to get your Meister. And then, yeah, if you just want to like pull those up to demonstrate.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, if you already have Meister,
there we go. All right, you can continue.
And you don't need sabers. Do you need? Yeah. So for example, if you already drew your Meister, and you don't need to use your Edge Imp chain search on it, do you get Frightfur Fusion as a follow-up or as like a combo piece depending on your hand, or do you get a repair for if you have to hard make a tiger, or if you already have Necro Fusion, do you even get your chain off of your Patchwork? Do you get an Edge Imp Scythe to be able to set that up as part of your Edge Imp loop, or do you get a Saber so that you can pop your own vendor? You can see there's a lot of like decisions you have to make based on the hand that you see. If you draw Lilith, does your hand need to stack that Lilith and then still get Meister, or do you revive it later with Cross Sheep or Dugares and then make your plays based off of that? If you drew Necro Fusion, do you even go through chain at all? If you don't see Patchwork but you see Edge Imp chain, does your Edge Imp chain need to get Meister if you want to dig through your deck to try and reach a poly, or do you make sure that you guarantee poly access and then try to dig through your deck for a way to Necro Fusion? Do you use that digging once you've gotten like maybe halfway through, like you've resolved the wings but you haven't resolved the penguin yet? You look at your hand and you say, the best way that I can set this up is to do like an Edge Imp Scythe play, for example, instead of playing something like doing an Edge Imp Scythe play instead of trying to like dig through your deck with Dugares for Necro Fusion, or hoping to hit a Poly or the Meister or something off of your penguin. You're making all of those individual resource decisions, and you're not just making them when you see your opening hand. You're making those choices after you resolve the toy vendor, after you resolve the penguin, after you resolve an Edge Imp chain, after you resolve a Cross Sheep, and after you fusion summon. So the reason that this deck is hard is not necessarily that the pieces themselves are hard to understand and work with, is because you have to make resource decisions every time you resolve a card effect.
It gets crazy. I will mention right here, this is where the deck becomes a little bit more difficult. So for example, we've used this Patchwork here, let's go to Grave, and we're about to use Wings. This is where it gets very complicated actually. We'll make Toad first. Obviously, I'm trying to make a more of a streamlined hand where you want to get to a point where you have the Toad, you have the Cross Sheep, you have Sheep and Octo access. How do you extend from there? That's what I think we should try and demonstrate. So we've detached the Dolphin, we've got the Toad, etc. We've done Wings. Now this is where the deck becomes really complicated, because with these two draws change a huge amount. As you can see here, we have drawn a singular Fluffle card, and I truly believe that any Fluffle name that you draw off of the Wings, unless you've already used it, like a Dolphin, can alter the actual end board of the combo and changes what you need to add off the vendor. So what would you add off the vendor here, Skyhawk? I guess I shouldn't put you on the spot here, but what do you think?
So here we've already used our normal summon, right?
Yes, we have.
This is assuming we've done like Penguin Dolphin play.
Yes.
I think we might even have like one last card in our hand here. Well, I guess we could assume that
this is a
vendor.
Yeah, this is a 3-card combo, so we would actually have 2 more cards in our hand if you.
Yeah, but let's just assume we're here. Like we have to use some resources. I do think I get Penguin here. Just because since we've already used our normal summon and we don't really have another way to like do something, and also because we don't have do we get Penguin here actually? This is interesting.
This is an interesting line.
Choice, because if you get Penguin here, you can potentially dig for another Fluffle, and you'd be like setting up an Octopus loop, for example. But there's an argument to be made for getting Dog here and then fusing with the chain and the Octopus, because you can Whale to banish to summon Dog to add Sheep, and if your Penguin draws are bad, then that's something to consider. So, but here I think just on the merits, because we are sending a repair off of well, I don't know. This is actually really difficult. This is this is why, because another option you have is to use chain to get your Frightfur Fusion, and then Cross Sheep and then Frightfur Fusion to summon back your Penguin.
Yes.
And
summon Dog.
Summon Octopus to,
or summon Octo, summon Dog. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that is the thing. You have to make a lot of very difficult decisions, and you might not know until after the fact what the right choice was. So I think for the sake of what I would do, just like if I had to make a quick decision, I would probably get Penguin and then fuse Penguin and chain into Whale.
See, this is interesting. I'll give some insight here. In my head here, I like to grab Dog because we already have a Penguin in rotation under the Beharm Shark, which we will link off for Cross Sheep, which we can then summon back and then get a sheep. But this deck is different for every single person, and either one of us could have an inaccuracy in our actual line. But we will fuse here, and I will skip some steps. In fact, so we'll get to the that shouldn't be banished, but anyway. This is one of the more linear 3-card combos, and it's not linear at all, is it, Skyhawk? It's
not. Well, I mean, it's not. Through it. So
it's not linear at all.
You've made a cardinal sin.
Oh no! No, the cardinal sin.
This is something to point out. We can literally like section this cardinal sin. Yes. Always. You drilled this into my head.
I have.
Always summon your fusion monster to the middle zone. It ensures that there's no possible way to screw up your cross sheet placement.
You can't be dumb enough to misplay at this point.
It is genuinely like, please just put it in the middle zone because you will thank yourself later when you're having to dig through a whole bunch of bodies. This is it. Summoning it to the middle zone is insurance against your own mess ups.
Very true.
So here, also we should talk about chain link structuring here. Okay. Yes. One of the very common plays that you will do to get advantage in this deck is poly into Whale using Penguin and Chain. Most of the time, you should be structuring it as chain link 1 Penguin, chain link 2 Edge and Chain. Just because you're getting more advantage off of your Penguin. Unless the only time you would change that is specifically if you are the only time to change that is if you specifically need the chain to resolve. So, like, for example, you need chain to get Frightfur Fusion in order to make a cross sheep play. If you already have cross sheep, make cross sheep chain link 3, because then like you've chain blocked your Penguin and your and your chain.
I will say that there's an argument to be made that you can Penguin before the chain, if your hand is at a point of being so non-linear that you actually need to see what the draws are in order to resolve chain fully and to actually like have a understanding of what the hand's going to do. We should also mention that you always should Whale at this point. If your opponent hasn't responded, you can chain link 3 Whale. However, it's not like a trigger thing, so you can't just chain block automatically. But we get to send the repair here, so we don't draw the repair. You said Penguin is chain link 1, correct?
Well, so you chain link 1 here. So you do your search first. It's just so that you don't draw your search target off of chain.
Yes.
Is there? So like, let's say we get Meister, instead of the Frightfur Fusion. This is a bit of a gamble, notably.
This is.
Because like you do need to draw something reasonable off of your Penguin draws. Because we don't have because we drew the Octopus and 1-for-1 is dead.
This is exactly it. This is a 3-card combo. Yeah. I guess it just shows the difference in piloting. Like, I would have gone for the dog line because I feel like the dog line is safer than the Penguin draws. Actually, in hindsight, Skyhawk, we could have summoned the Penguin maybe off Gigaris and fused with it like that, potentially.
Yeah, so that's an option. The other option I was thinking of when I was talking about the dog line is I think what you were thinking of, which is dog into Penguin.
Yes.
And doing it that way. The only difficulty I had with that is that we would need to somehow get access to our second poly. Like we would have repair, and we could do we would repair summon Penguin to summon Octopus, to add back a resource. But I think that line because we're not playing Proxy F Magician, has a harder time. We wouldn't get our Penguin draws. So I guess I was basically prioritizing the Penguin draws there because we don't yet have access to. We don't have access to Edge and Sabers.
The interesting thing we should note is that this deck can dig a lot, and it can make Gigaris, it can make Penguin draws, and it can get the wings. So you can draw 6 cards on your turn while also resolving vendors and all of your thinning effects. We will draw our 2 cards.
Not just, so it's not just. So those draws aren't very great.
No.
I think. Yeah, so probably how you would... And we don't have a bear anywhere in rotation, do we?
This is weird. This is a 3-card combo, which again is very hard for this deck to make correct linear just like choices with this, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
This is looking like Meister was potentially the incorrect ad, to be fair, because we don't have a saber in rotation. Yeah.
I think Frightfur Fusion was probably the play, because we could if we link off the Bahamut, then we have a penguin in rotation. Yeah, so
Very
this
true.
actually might even like justify the dog play a little bit better, but because you could like dog and Frightfur Fusion and do weird stuff like that. But...
I'm very sorry, viewers. This was us trying to show a linear line. I think we have, and we are now talking about in-depth Fluffle theory. I will now talk about a much simpler linear line, and I say simpler, it is actually just as equally as difficult. But you don't need to know that. You don't need to know that yet. So this is the.
I will point out.
Yes.
Specifically that hand is still at least Toad Appaloosa,
yes.
And you actually can make. If you choose to add the Frightfur Fusion instead of the Meister there, you can make a rank 4 and make Dugaris to dig through your deck. With that line specifically, if you add the Frightfur Fusion, you can go Penguin, special summon your Dolphin from hand, and then you can make Dugaris to try to dig through your deck a bit further if you want.
That hand was incredible. We should actually say to the viewers, that's not a bad hand. That's not us saying, oh, that hand's unplayable. That's us saying it's getting very complicated, and we're trying to not... like ruin this deck for you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So if anything, we actually probably messed up that line a bit.
Yes.
In playing it the way that we did. So that's like, this deck is very hard, and even the two of us who have been labbing this out for the last 2.5 weeks do sometimes have trouble deciding on the right line.
Yeah, especially in linear situations. Especially in linear situations, like what we're trying to create. That was like a 3-card combo. This here is a theoretical 2-card combo. Depending on a draw off of Penguin in specific things. I'm not sure if I've explained this to you, Skyhawk, but you'll pick it up. You'll pick it up. So we have this in this situation. We make Whale, of course, not doing another Cardinal Sin. We'll put it in the correct zone this time. But specifically Penguin draws here. If you draw a Dolphin, a Vendor, a Foolish Burial Goods, or a Dog, the line can continue, if that makes any sense, as a 2-card combo. Yeah. If not, it is a 3-card combo. However, this is just showing you how far 2 cards can theoretically get in this deck.
Yeah. So here we want to go Chainlink Whale to send our repair.
Yes.
And then Chain probably to add. If we literally don't have anything else, then you can gamble and get Meister, or you can get Frightfur Fusion.
Yes, this is. We should have mentioned this in the deck profile. Frightfur Fusion is something that you can, if you want to be a bit more safe. However, in my opinion, I always like to do Chain as the first chain link, so you can see what your draws are first. But
before like
specifically for this combo. So we'll draw 2 cards. So both of these are bad cards in theory, if that makes sense, in the 2-card combo. But I should have said this, for example, if we drew a dog specifically, like let's say we drew a dog. We have Meister, and then this is where the hand becomes a lot better, if that makes any sense. Or not a dog. We'll do best case scenario when we're trying to demonstrate this this deck into a. I'm failing so bad at making it linear for the viewer. I'm so sorry, guys, but this is we'll say we drew Goods off Penguin. That was the only card that we needed to see. We go Goods. Yeah. We dump the chain. Sorry, the Vendor. We add the dog. We normal summon the dog. Dog effect. Get the Dolphin, repair effect, summon the Dolphin, set the Vendor, and you get to see how this goes pretty far, if you know what I mean, Skyhawk. Yeah. This can take us a pretty long way down the time.
Send the wings, draw some cards.
Yes. Would you say there's an argument to be made that you can even send the Sabers, so then you make a Cross Sheep, summon back the Sabers, then trigger the Cross Sheep to summon another card, make a Dagda, activate Meister, tribute the Sabers, summon Lilith, and you have the Necro Fusion play plus Dagda plus Cross Sheep.
Yeah, I do think so, but maybe my difference in opinion is if literally all you have is those 2 cards, then that's probably setting it up. But depending on the rest of your hand, you can just get your Sabers off of the Vendor. So if you have another discard outlet for the Sabers, then you might as well just draw the 2 cards.
Exactly.
So it depends on your hand. So if you literally have nothing else in your grip going for you, then you can send the Sabers and then set stuff up that way. The only trouble is that if you do it this way, you don't actually have. I would maybe do that if I hard drew Necro,
Yes.
Because if you hard draw Necro, then you would rather just like get your setup and not like worry about the randomness of it, and then just have like Dogda cross sheep set Necro Fusion pass. But because the toy vendor can get sabers,
Yes.
I might get a bit greedy here. Like, especially if I don't have Necro Fusion. If I don't have Necro Fusion, I would get the wing straws just to see what's up.
We do have the Meister though, however, which does get us to Necro Fusion, which is something to mention.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that.
So that's why I pitched the line.
Yeah.
I will say, guys.
Yeah, that is an option. Yeah. Maybe if you want to play out how that would work.
I will play out how that will work. This is a
them.
very low investment, theoretical 2-card combo. So you'd have like 4 other cards in your hand because of the penguin draws. We will send the sabers. We will make the cross sheep. So this deck is so hard, man. Why does it have to be so hard?
Yeah.
You send back a hand card.
We're making the assumption that you didn't draw anything but penguin except a foolish burial goods.
Yes.
Basically what we're assuming here. So you'll have a random card in hand to put the Scythe back with.
The fact is,
in case you draw another Fluffle.
Yes, you can even summon the penguin here and extend further, summon a dolphin, make a toad, etc. Like keep going from here. What we need to make the Dagda here.
What, you link into Dogda? Yeah. Activate Meister, chain Dogda.
Yes. It's very good deck, guys.
So
It's just hard to pilot correctly. And then we get the Lilith, and then we get the Necro Fusion. And we have a 4 material tiger, which is huge.
Yeah. So you can, if you want, you can choose to something of note, I guess, is that like here you could choose to pop 2 of their cards in your own Scythe and then summon out a Pingu or a Dolphin for like, extra resources. If you destroy 4, if you can choose just to destroy 2 of their cards and then pop your own vendor for advantage. Like your options based on your hand are near infinite in terms of what you do with the Necro and how you use it.
Yeah, I hope that somewhat shows like a linear combo line where you have like, for example, that would also work if you had like Penguin, Patchwork, Foolish Burial Goods. This is how far you can go without having any luck-based requirements, any draws, any vendor activations, anything like that.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe do like 1 or 2 just like completely random test hands? Just because I think showing them exactly how like we would play through a random turn is really good. Oh, perfect.
Oh, okay.
This actually works, is really interesting. So this hand is like will be definitely reliant on wing straws, but is also very strong if the wing straws are decent.
That is true. This is a weird hand. But these are the kind of hands I enjoy playing out. We have some replays for you. We may even, if we don't have time, we will link them in the description. However, they show how to do weird hands, if that makes sense. Skyhawk, we add Dolphin here, correct?
Yeah. Yes, we add Dolphin. This hand you have to get a bit greedy, but that's okay. I think just like maybe 1 random hand, just to like show people like how the randomness goes, and then I can pull up my Edo Pro and I can show off the other replays.
Alright. We should also mention end board theory, like how far you can get with sheep octo loops. I think there was a lot of overcapitalization in the MBT video on how important Appaloosa is. Obviously, with Drytron in the format, it becomes more important. However, you don't have to sacrifice 3 hand cards to make an Appaloosa, if that makes any sense, Skyhawk.
Yep, no, totally right. Yep. I would say Appaloosa only happened like half of my matches. Oftentimes, Toad, Dogda, Cross Sheep is more than enough.
So, do you like... Okay, let's talk about the theory behind detaching Penguin and detaching Dolphin here. Which one do you prefer?
It's kind of tricky. So here, because we have the Penguin in hand, I actually like detaching the Penguin. Because we're our most likely goal, right, is that we want to fuse with this Penguin that we have in our hand.
Yes.
And we are hoping.
And we have the edge in. We have the edge in. Yes.
Yeah. So because we want a Penguin to be able to summon off of Cross Sheep, but because we already have one in hand, I would rather keep the Dolphin as an option. So here I would detach.
I do think that is correct. I totally forgot that we have Penguin in hand. You want to keep the Penguin in rotation, because this plus Sheep is just like crazily. Both I meant both Sheeps, like Cross Sheep and Fluffle Sheep. But
the entendre works there. Yeah. Yeah, so if you don't have Penguin, detach Dolphin so that you keep Penguin.
Yes.
If you have Penguin, detach Penguin.
In theory, we can get them back as well. You get these back with Octopus
Yes.
if they didn't banish your thing. So it's not gone forever. But yeah.
Yeah.
We get 2 draws. We have Octo. We have Necro Fusion.
So,
Wow.
So we've drawn
Okay.
Necro. Drawing Necro is very interesting. So here, I actually think we don't have Scythe. This is okay. So this is really weird. So since we didn't draw into like a regular fusion play, I almost I actually think I want to get Bear.
I had the same exact idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about this, right, you can have the Necro Fusion be live on your opponent's turn with the Imp Scythe in your graveyard.
Yes. And that's
So
a guaranteed
here,
pop
we
1 at
we
least.
We don't have a discard outlet for the Sabers unless we want to get rid of our own Toad, which like we could maybe do that. But that would be like we would be getting into like far too large of bigger brain territory. But there, I think we just risk it on a vendor hit.
If we hit something,
by this.
Yeah, as you were saying.
I think we discard goods. It's like so tempting because I think we have to keep Imp Scythe in hand. I think our options are discard Octopus or discard goods.
I think they are the 2 options as well. Because any situation, right? We have 2 fusions. We have the fusion with Scythe and we have the fusion with Necro. The cool thing about this specific hand is if Penguin draws into Sabers, you can then pitch the Sabers and then Necro Fusion for Tiger without even seeing the Sabers on our own turn.
Yes. So something else that's interesting about this as well is you actually going for vendor here is not that unsafe. You have a ton of rips. Because here, right, if you see literally any Fluffle card, you can special Penguin, special Octo to add back a resource, and then you've set up like your Dogda, right? So you can do that. Another thing is if you rip a dog, you can get a sheep, and then you just do whatever. Or the dog actually can get Imp Sabers, and then you could like barricade Horde Walker to get Sabers in the graveyard.
I will ask you now, Skyhawk. What is the worst rip off the vendor for like a Fluffle or a chain name, just to show them so we can actually like make a decent end board here? What is the worst rip off a vendor? Is it chain or is it sheep or is it bear?
Chain is really good to rip off a vendor because you discard it and you get Patchwork.
That is true.
Chain is like the best rip here. I don't think there's that many bad ones. Like I would say, Artifact Scythe isn't even the worst because you can just make Dogda and then pop your Dogda with the head-shaped Scythe.
There's nothing bad. There's no bad rips except for maybe this.
Yeah. The only bad rips are the cards that like don't do anything. So like your spell and trap cards, and then like Meister, Lilith, Scythe. Almost anything else does what you want here.
Let's say for example that we hit a bad Fluffle name. I want to say we hit. Let's say we hit Bear off the vendor. What do you say about playing that out?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so we hit Bear off the vendor.
Oh, this is a bad situation. Yeah.
You hit Bear. Bear's the worst Fluffle to hit. This is the worst Fluffle to hit.
You discarded goods. So you add the Bear to your hand, and you would probably special the Penguin here.
Yes.
Yeah.
More of the power of Octopus is going to be shown right here. Would you special Octo here?
I do think so. Just because like, our Fluffle names in Grave aren't going to change. We probably actually want to keep the Penguin on the board.
I would say that as well. Yeah.
Because of that. So here I would special. We have the same number of, like, Octo add back Bear doesn't make much sense. I feel like you do special the Octo here, and you just don't add back the Bear, just because you'd rather keep the Bear in hand for like a vendor. Like, because if we're, and the thing is, right, or I guess actually Octo can add back the Bear because if you fuse with the Penguin, we have 2 cards to banish for Necro. So yeah, I would summon the Octo and I would add back the Bear, and then here you would link those two into just Dogda, and then set your Necro Fusion.
So how far does this take us, Skyhawk?
This is a lot. So the thing is, right? Let's say you you actually have some very interesting options with this hand. So
Yes, you do.
For example, this hand actually sets up Tiger.
What?
Let me show you the line. This hand sets up Tiger. Let me show you.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Right? This is actually really cool. This is a really big brain thing. So, you edge Imp Scythe, right? Defuse the penguin, and you summon.
Oh my gosh! You are a scary person.
So you whale effect, right?
You penguin effect.
Side.
Yeah.
You chain dog. Yeah. You penguin effect first, and then you chain. You pop the vendor. Okay. No, we need to like this doesn't work how I wanted it to because you can't discard the chain, because vendor has to search it after.
Oh.
Yeah, I misinterpreted the chain links here.
Yes, this is less big.
So here you have to be a bit less cool. So you whale, you chain the Dogda, and then if you this works. I mean, if you draw sabers, then this works. But
yes.
So you can so whale here and then chain your Dogda to whatever your last chain link is.
So we will get to set and ascend to deck then here. We get a set and a send before the draws, correct?
Yeah, so you set this, and then you can send your repair, and then you would pop the artifact Scythe in one of their cards, right?
Yeah.
And you're drawing 2, discarding 1. So.
Oh yeah, true.
So your Scythe will go to grave.
Yeah. And then we get to draw 2.
And then you'll draw 2, and discard 1.
I think we pitched.
Here we probably just dump the Necro.
Yeah. Not much value. And then.
So you.
Scythe triggers.
Yeah. So new chain Scythe. Yeah, and then your Scythe will trigger, and then the cool thing here is because you've sent your Edge Imp chain, you can actually summon another whale with the Necro Fusion if you want by banishing the Scythe and any Fluffle name. So here you have that.
Wait, this is once. Wait, this is not. This is. What do you mean? Is the fusion not once per turn? Like the pop? Is the pop not once per turn?
No, none of the effect is. Did you not know that?
I didn't know you could. What? Oh my god.
So here, this hand is actually really cool because this shows like some of like the weird stuff that you can do with this, where it seems way more unassuming, but this is a toad as an Omni Negate that adds you back your penguin. It is a Necro Fusion into another pop on your opponent's turn, and you can pop your own vendor here to get you another Fluffle name for the next turn.
So you do this,
which is also bonkers.
You now pop your own vendor. Oh my lord! And then
yeah, probably dog. Yeah.
Dog. Oh my.
That's an argument. Yeah. So you've seen this hand didn't actually get to sabers and is still 2 pops, a Scythe lock, draw 2, discard 1, and you can also search your vendor. So
we have repair.
Negate 2 pops, lock your opponent out of the extra deck, and you have repair for the following turn, right?
And we start with 6 cards. What the heck?
Admittedly, these cards are a little weird.
That is
but,
true.
Like, they're still good. You can still make like this. I mean, this is already a game on board, so like that's pretty cool. But you can also just make access code here, and access code whale is game if you want to clear some more back row. And then you can dig with for fusions with Dugares. We dug 19 cards through our deck, and we have not seen an Edge Imp chain. Very high chance to see one. You can dog to add sheep, and you can sheep to like do advantage plays if you see a chain with stuff. You can bear to dig for a vendor, and we can dig for even more things.
Like we can make a cross sheep because we already have a fusion on board. Special summon with penguin to trigger the cross sheep. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
So
all right.
We've locked them out of their extra deck. We've dropped them down to 3 cards because we've negated 1 with Toad, and we popped 2 of them with the whales. And we're starting our turn with like 10 cards.
Very unfair. This is very cool. Very, very bad test hand. Yeah, anyway.
Yes. This was a bad hand, by the way.
This was a very bad hand. This is no chain. What is this? No chain. Anyway, I guess we should talk about the actual, like, the god end board, the main goal of the deck. Yeah. Do you like the? In my opinion, this is the board, right? I want to have the Dagda, the sheep, the toad, the Necro, and the Scythe, and obviously the Meister and stuff.
Yeah. So I would say like this is obviously your goal, and I have some Edo Pro test hands, either that we'll put in the video or that we'll link in the description, that have that show you ways that you can get to that setup. This is like, if you have set up, yeah, Dweller is obviously an option, right? So upcoming format, this might be the play. Like Appaloosa is really strong against Drytron, but it's like so is Dweller, and Dweller is also strong against a bunch of other stuff. I would say if you have set up the loop where you have the Imp Scythe either in your hand or in your graveyard, I would say ending on Dogda is better in general. Just because you can guarantee that Scythe, resolves.
Exactly.
If you don't have access to the Octo loop, or you don't have access to your Imp Scythe, just through your combo or your draws or your mills or whatever, then ending on the Appaloosa is the way to go. Just because it's just more disruption your opponent has to handle. It's something else that they have to droplet if they want to beat you. And Appaloosa, in a sense, also can let you hold Necro Fusion a bit. You could even depending on what deck they're playing against, you could even let them go into their first extra deck summon and commit a little bit more to the board before you flip Blowout and lock them out.
Yes.
So Appaloosa gives you a bit of extra flexibility, as well as like if you see like sheep, like Fluffle sheep lines, you can make this 3 or 4 materials. Like normally this is a 2 or 3 material Appaloosa. If you see like sheep and Octo into sheep, it's very easily a 4 material Appaloosa. And 3200, this is scary.
Yes.
I like that you sent the Borg. That's the next thing. Sometimes it is better to make a 3 material Appaloosa or a 2 material Appaloosa, but go through Borg Blocker, because Borg Blocker just adds you a vendor in your end phase.
Borg Blocker is how we can make Appaloosa with like ending with this many cards in your hand still. This is like the if you draw an actual good hand and you don't misplay, this is definitely what you can end on. Anyway, this wouldn't be here. This would be over here, but yeah.
Generally, and sometimes you could sacrifice the Appaloosa for the Dweller.
Yes, very true.
Dweller is very easy to make. It's literally just you revive a penguin and you summon any level 4 from him.
It can be even easier as well. Like you can summon sheep, and then sheep can bounce a Fluffle to summon chain, and then you can just do chain and whatever the Fluffle you want. I guess I don't know. Is it time to move on to the actual replays that we have set up? I am ready to continue.
Okay, I will. Hello and welcome to Skyhawk's Edo Pro. I've got 2 replays here. For those of you that saw the Count stream, or Professor Clutch's stream, sorry. You have already seen these replays, but I really like these because there are a few individual inaccuracies that I make through the course of some of these combos that Outback will probably be able to help point out and see where I could have done something better to make the end board setup a bit better. This hand is very good, but it's also something that this hand is really, really strong.
Yes.
But it's also something that an inexperienced player might not understand how to work through. So we'll go through this here and.
Is it worth mentioning the inaccuracies that you just mentioned, Skyhawk? If you are just joining the Fluffle community, I've recently coined the term inaccuracy in this deck because it's not so much of a misplay, but one inaccuracy is the difference between ending on 2 hand cards and 3 to 4 hand cards. Would you say?
Yes. Yeah. Totally agree. I love that you've made that term, because even the very best Fluffle pilots will make resource mistakes, and that's okay. This deck, you have room to do that. But learning to maximize them when you can, when you have the energy to do that thinking, is very helpful.
I mean, all we can say, right, is that I
really love that term.
In terms of the extrav that you played in, if you had gone a flawless Fluffle pilot and not made a single mistake, you would have been 7-1 and probably won the whole thing. Without any mistakes. But anyway, we'll continue on. We'll continue with the replays. What do you want to show in this replay specifically? How to navigate it?
Specifically is how to navigate it. Because this is a hand where you have every piece of your engine already in your hand, right? You have Foolish Burial Goods, you have Fluffle, you have a vendor in hand, you have access to Poly through Patchwork, and you have an extra chain search. Plus, you've already hard run Necro Fusion. So this is a better hand than you could possibly ask for. You don't have to use your extra chain searches on Meister or Lilith unless you need Meister for some other reason. And you can use this to get extenders or to get Frightfur Fusion for follow-up or to get other pieces. You can use your Patchwork to either set up an Imp Scythe or a chain. Or not a chain, an Imp Scythe or a Sabers, and then you can do hands that way. You have Bear and Goods, which means that you can do wings without committing anything to your normal summon, but it also means that you can you can set up really effectively. So we'll see what I do in this. I haven't looked at this in a bit, so I don't remember. But
This is
this
very
close
interesting.
to the full setup.
From this specific point, Skyhawk, there are 10 different lines. I should just mention.
There are so there are, yeah.
And as soon as you activate like one card, it changes again, which is just it's actually scary to think about. But I'll let the replay continue. You go Patchwork, you grab the sabers.
Yeah. Here, the reason that I get sabers is because this is actually the best play around roll. Because we didn't hard open a penguin or a dolphin. If you do it this way, you can still hard fuse into whale. Summon back your sabers, link into Dogda, and set your and set the Necro Fusion, and then you still have like a whale summon to pop the Scythe. So that's why I did this first. And also I got the sabers for the reason that I can pop my own vendor. I think in this replay I actually use Frightfur Fusion as an extender, which is probably suboptimal, and you can probably show me how I can fix it.
I was gonna say I talked a lot about Patchwork specifically in the Fluffle Discord, which we will link below. The Necro Fusion Discord, I should say. But what ended up happening was that Patchwork gives you so much information about your opponent's hand, because if they don't ash the Patchwork, they 99% of the time they do not have the ash, and if they don't droll you after Patchwork, well, they have no droll. They don't have the droll, so you get very valuable information by activating a card that you most of the time, I would say Skyhawk, most of the time you don't even need it to resolve, to be honest. But
no. Yeah, but if your Patchwork resolves, you have probably won. So that's the thing, right? So let's see. And this is a hand where I probably get because I've drawn Necro Fusion, I can afford to be greedier and get my penguin off a vendor to fuse and try to dig for some stuff.
Yes.
So I bear here to set the vendor, because what I'm gonna do is to access my Dolphin, I'm gonna pop my own vendor.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an example of a thing. I vendored a pitch change just to see if I hit. I hit wings, which is cool. No, you would want to send it off of the vendor, but this is nice because I can send to Octopus and I can set up that loop. So
I am going to say this again adds another level of difficulty, because wings is no longer in graveyard, which means you have to either use a discard outlet or summon an off penguin to continue. Yeah, but so I'll let the replay go.
It does add some wonkiness. Yeah, and I definitely probably do something wrong here. Yeah, so I actually fuse with the wings here.
Oh.
I can't remember why I did that. I probably should have used the penguin, but I think my reasoning was I didn't want to use, because I had hard on the Necro Fusion, for some reason I didn't want to stack my sabers. So I did this to draw with the wings first before messing with the penguin. So it might have been better to fuse with the penguin first, but I wanted to like pop the vendor to add the dolphin to special it with. Oh, that's why I did this. Yeah.
Yeah, to make the shark.
Yeah. So basically what I wanted to do is, that's almost exactly it, actually. I wanted to do, because I had hard on the Necro Fusion, I wanted to do hard poly into Tiger, pop that to add Dolphin, Penguin special summon the Dolphin so I could make Shark. And that was why I did it this way. There's possibly another line you could have taken,
I think that,
like this one because we're on Necro.
I do think that there's a line where you summon Cross Sheep and you actually like plus even harder than this. Like an early Cross Sheep. But, because you already drew the sabers, we can summon the sabers to trigger Cross Sheep to get another draw. Okay.
Yeah, that's where.
This is this was
really like.
You've drawn two hard OPTs. Yeah, you've drawn two hard OPTs.
Yeah.
But you have the sheep.
We'll see what I. Yeah, here I think the optimal thing would have been to fuse with the penguin.
Yes.
Because I already have the vendor like face up. I just really wanted access to Toad, because the thing with hard fusioning Tiger lines is that Toad becomes your 5th summon. Hard drawing Necro Fusion insulates you a bit against Nibiru, but I like guaranteeing access to the Toad. But fusing with the penguin is probably like the better move for like the best possible end board setup. So like it depends on like what your opponent's done.
Yeah.
If you don't think your opponent has Nibiru, then you would probably use the penguin.
The interesting thing about this deck is that you can continue going.
Oh yeah, sorry to interrupt. Here I use the Frightfur Fusion as an extender because I haven't sent my repair yet. There is probably a line here that I don't see because I think I sent the Octopus, right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I definitely could have done this way better. I could have added a Dweller to the end board very easily, and I didn't. Just as a resource choice. So whale.
You might Skyhawk. I know this sounds very interesting, but in my opinion, like the lines that I like to do is I go for Cross Sheep pretty early, even if they do have Nibiru, because with early cross sheep lines, they're very low in resources, if that makes any sense. Like, you're not actually hard committing to the board. However, it does make you vulnerable. So I do like this line. It's very cool.
This is basically like, this is the philosophy duality of Fluffle pilots. Do you make Toad, or do you have to be your cross sheep? Because like the thing is, right, Dogda can be used with you can make Dogda with a token. So like you can just do Dogda Sabers into like Sabers Nib token into Dogda and you're fine. So a totally valid approach to go for the sheep there. I that line specifically, that was the way that I saw to get to Toad at 7-5, and so you can kind of tunnel vision yourself that way. So that's why I say there was like probably an inaccuracy here. If I had fused with the penguin, there's a chance that I have more advantage. So we'll move this through. So Octo, add back penguin. So here, I literally do like the minimum possible line.
Ooh, okay. I like this.
Is I summon the sheep effect to do this.
The trigger Dagda, yes.
So I chain that, and I set that, and then I summon back Sabers. So I shouldn't have summoned Sabers here. I think I should have summoned a level 4. Maybe I didn't have one. I didn't have one.
Okay. You didn't have one,
that was the suboptimal thing about this, is that I should have found a way to get a level 4 in grade.
Yes, which I think would have been possible.
Or to keep the Dolphin engraved somehow. And that probably would have been a line where I don't Frightfur Fusion, because I can imagine, this is the tough thing, right? I can imagine a universe, right? I can imagine a universe where because I didn't even use repair. I just ended the combo. I didn't use repair. I can imagine a universe where we repair Penguin and then Octopus add back a level 4 there at the beginning instead of adding back with Penguin. Octopus adds back a level 4, and then you summon Penguin for repair, and then special to level 4, and you make Dweller there. So so this would be like a level 4, right? So you would end on you could, in theory, bounce like instead of like the Octopus, you could bounce a level 4, summon out of thing, link those 3 into Appaloosa, and then repair, summon the Penguin, and then summon a level 4, and then that's Dweller with Necro Fusion and 2 cards in hand and a set side.
Don't attack me, Skyhawk. But I think there could have been a line. There's an argument where you actually add Meister again off of the chain, not actually adding specifically the Frightfur Fusion, and then you use Sabers to trigger the cross sheep, which was pointing to Tiger, and then you tribute off the Sabers to summon a Scythe because you already had Octopus access. And then you can add the Scythe lock on top, like with the Kraken, because if you do that and you pass, you would pass with a rank 4, a Toad, the Dagda combo through Droplet, so you get like the if they Cosmic and Droplet your Scythe, you still resolve Scythe combo, plus you have like hand resources as well. Obviously that's like impossible to see because you have to get to this point specifically to know that that was the correct line.
Yes, that's the thing. You have to play out a bunch of lines to understand. Yep, I know. I totally agree with that. So I think, so I think either fusing with the Penguin or finding a way to use the Sabers early, because we hard drew the fusion and we don't
exactly
with Meister. Yeah, so you're totally right that was definitely an option. And I think when I made this replay, I hadn't even considered like Octopus add back Imp Scythe. As a possibility.
I think we already did mention it, but that's probably the most important thing for if you mill Necro Fusion. You have to be sure to actually change your end board setup by going Meister to summon specifically the Scythe to add back of Octopus, not the Lilith, because you've already got the Necro Fusion in hand. Or you've milled it specifically.
Exactly. Okay.
Combos. Oh my gosh.
This is the right combo. Yeah.
Hello guys, welcome. This is the correct combo this time. I don't know. Okay.
Welcome to the correct replay. It is Fluffle Test Hand 2 instead of Fluffle Example Combo 2, because in my head those were 2 different things. So let's lead off with this. This hand obviously is just very, very broken. So there are so many different ways you can sequence this. I just choose to discard Vendor.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Oh no!
This demonstrates the power of hitting Dog off the Vendor.
To quote MBT, I'm going to attack you, Skyhawk. How?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
Alright.
here I actually I add sheep off of the dingus here. So
You're just
here,
the best Fluffle player. That's it.
And the reason that this is so crazy is because even if we get hand trapped at like any point,
Oh my gosh.
we can still just use this toy vendor and pitch that chain.
This hand is too good.
We have
Like this
this
hand eats like 3 hand traps. This hand is crazy.
Yeah. So here you would toad. I vendored, and then I wings on that one before I use chain.
Oh my gosh, it's one of the
crazy,
good
right?
hands.
So since we saw Scythe and a Meister off of our stuff, since we saw Scythe and Meister, that means that we can use our edge of chain to search Patchwork.
Oh my god.
And that's really
Wait,
huge.
have
So,
you not used Patchwork this turn yet?
I have not yet activated Patchwork.
Oh my
Oh my god. I haven't even used this toy vendor.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh my gosh.
we're gonna play this out. Yeah. So I'll keep it going. This replay is mostly to showcase like what you do when you have all the pieces, and you try to use your resources as good as you can. Here, this may have been the wrong way to do this, but I actually summoned the Edge of Chain to link it on, and bounce my dog just so that I have like if I summon back Penguin, I guarantee myself to have a level 4 to summon off of the Penguin. So that's part of why I do it this way. So we'll play, just because like I could draw one, but I also could not. So
That's
I do
interesting.
it this way, and then I get Patchwork.
So all we're missing here is Octopus, correct? That's all we're missing at this point. Just Octopus.
So basically, if I wanted to, I could try to pop that to get Octo, but
Yes.
I might just choose not to. I don't remember what I do in this line.
Well, Octo's
I
not
might
needed.
Oh yeah.
But...
This is
Oh,
probably, I do
okay,
get
yes.
Octo, that's probably right.
Wow, so you
Because
pop off
I know-
this hard. Okay, yeah.
Because the reason that I do it this way is because I know that I can Penguin into dog, and then I can use that to add Octopus. So because I can summon, because I haven't summoned off of Cross Sheep yet, right?
Yep. Wow.
So I can get that to dog their bodies, and then I have Octo in hand. I might have screwed up and not gotten the Octopus engraved because I'm a dummy, but yeah. So you do that, and we actually draw Octopus.
Oh
So,
my gosh!
I mean,
Never
yeah,
punished.
oh, yeah,
Never
it's
punished.
So since we draw Necro Fusion, we can pitch Meister because we no longer need it.
Yes.
And like because we already have like the setup here, right? There was an argument to be made to discard the Octopus, but so we do this. Trigger your vendor. I just get a bear here because we didn't even.
Who cares? You have no. You did. Surely. Oh my gosh! This hand is so insane. All right. Okay, set the side.
Do this. Here I summon the. Oh, okay. I did summon the Octopus.
Oh, it's the sheep combo too. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
my screen's
So
frozen.
sheep and special sheep,
Anyway,
and
yeah.
then,
Add sheep, special
yeah.
sheep.
Oh no, I left the end board.
No, I understand what we understand. It was
I'll speed through this just. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll speed through this just to like get to the end board setup and just so like maybe people can watch again quick.
This is really what shows like if you hit dog off vendor, it's what would you describe that feeling as, Skyhawk, when you hit dog off vendor?
Pure bliss, pure unadulterated ecstasy.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
and like, look at the card advantage you have. Look at all of these cards.
I know this is gonna sound crazy, but if we actually like analyze this replay between us, Skyhawk, we could probably find an inaccuracy in this that ended you with 2 more hand cards or something crazy.
Probably, or like a dweller on top of the board.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Alright. We have the Dagda, we have the Penguin.
Yeah, because like
Get the
here,
Octo.
your decision point is right. You don't even have to summon Octopus.
No, you don't.
Because you already have that inside in hand. You can just summon Dog and make Dweller, and then you can choose to not end on the Appaloosa.
And the crazy thing is, we still have the cross sheep summon on their turn to summon the Octo to then get another ad, which is, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Okay.
So we play this out right. So we add the sheep. Which
Oh
and
my
here,
gosh.
These are the situations where you can make a 4 material Appaloosa. So your end board is. Let me just move this out of the way. Your end board is a Necro Fusion, an Artifact Scythe, and the Necro Fusion has like 12 cards.
Infinite.
Or, not
Yeah,
12.
everything.
Like, there's a ton of Fluffles. You have Edge Imp Scythe, and you have Octopus in Graveyard as well, so you can play around the Cosmic on the Scythe. And you can play around, this hand doesn't play as well around Droplets, but you can just like hold Necro Fusion if you choose to like Scythe. And if you want to dig your deck even further, you can just summon Penguin, and then fuse with the Edge Imp Scythe for Penguin. But you
Dig
don't
for
need
hand
to
traps
because
or
you
something,
can
yeah.
get your Frightfur Fusion. Yeah, depending on like where you are post side in that. But like this is and Toad will also add you back a resource. So right now,
Oh
you're
my
sitting on 1, 2, 3, 4,
gosh.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have gone +4 over the course of your combo. And after you resolve Necro Fusion, you will have gone like another +2. Not to mention you've gotten rid of your opponent's stuff. So like
This is
if you Necro Fusion,
crazy.
so summon your Tiger, that's even in card advantage. You've gotten rid of your Necro Fusion and you've summoned a Tiger. You summon your Octopus with Cross Sheet. So that gets you to a
+1. Yeah.
+1. Octopus to add back gets you to +2.
Yeah. Add back a
that gets you,
penguin.
like, your
Add
whole
back a
card.
penguin and
your-
then fuse.
Add back a penguin with Toad. Add back a penguin with Toad. Card advantage. And then
Oh
summoning your
my
Scythe is
gosh.
easy.
Yes.
So your end board makes you go +2, and it makes your opponent like crazy.
And you're forgetting the fact that penguin can draw. If you add penguin back, you can fuse with the scythe in hand and the penguin.
So that also ends up even better than even in card advantage because if you discard the chain, it can search Frightfur Fusion and
Go
make it
+3.
+1.
Yeah. Overall,
So you
like
could go
crazy.
you can go +3 on your opponent's turn. Which is pretty crazy.
All right.
Okay, so now
Okay. Yeah.
for the the very last demonstration replay this is your most frequent 3-card combo that plays through draw. I have labeled it through draw example. I love this replay.
Very clear combo. Here we go.
Yeah. So here is what I put to dog just because I thought it was funny. All you need for this is for your opponent to roll you is any way to get Vendor in the graveyard. FE Goods is the simplest one, but you have options like Vendor, discard Vendor, either of Penguin or Dolphin, and Necro Fusion. So how you play, and this plays through. You mentioned it. This plays through Droll and Nibiru, by the way. So
Both of them. Yep. Just.
So you bin your Vendor, and then your Vendor adds your missing piece. In this case, it's Dolphin. So assume here that you get hit with Droll and Lockbird. No problem. Yes. You go Penguin special Dolphin. Dolphin effects to set your Vendor, but it's very important you send your Edge Imp Sabers instead of Wings, because you're not through Droll you can't draw off the Wings, and you can't draw off the Vendor, so you send Sabers, and that turns on your Tiger, right? So you play, and you overlay for Bahamut Shark. You detach. Doesn't matter which one you detach actually here. Detach anything. Summon Toad. Sabers to stack a card that isn't Necro Fusion, and summon back your Sabers. Then you link it to Dogda, and you set your Necro Fusion. So not only have you actually not lost any card advantage, you still have 5 cards. You stacked a card on top of your deck. You've got the 1 card in hand. You've set a Toy Vendor and a Necro Fusion and a Dogda. On your opponent's turn, you flip Necro Fusion, you chain Dogda, you set Scythe, and engrave here. You have 3 materials, so if you want, you can pop 2 of your opponent's cards and your Scythe. You can pop your opponent's cards and your Vendor, or you can keep a Penguin or a Dolphin for your Toad to add back. And your Toad, importantly, is also summoned 4, so they can't even Nibiru your Dogda.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
This is post-Droll. It's post-Droll. So Necro Fusion is actually one of your best ways to play around Droll, because it can turn like your regular, like, reasonable 2-card combos into, like, even this setup is so hard for decks to break. Like, they still have to droplet you for a good solid 2 cards if they even want a chance. Because they have to droplet your Tiger, they have to droplet your Toad, and they have to droplet your Scythe. So they have to droplet send 3 to neg your interaction, and also Toad adds you back a resource.
And you have the set toy vendor as well. So you have the set toy vendor.
So if you want to like search a specific thing, or your Toad is on board and you just want to clear as many of your opponent's cards as possible, you could in theory pop 3 instead of Scythe locking them if like the Scythe lock doesn't do as much for you. And as well, this also just pluses you, because like your Necro Fusion turns into Tiger, right? And artifact setting, Dogda setting your Scythe is a +1 because it summons itself back. So even this is still +1 on your opponent's turn.
Oh my gosh. And that's crazy. Okay. Yeah. This deck is really it's very hard to play, but it's not only rewarding in terms of its decent like end board setups, and it's it's a joy to pilot, I would say. Skyhawk. It's one of the most fun decks I've ever played. It's funny. You can like laugh at yourself while playing this deck, while also going +16 at the same exact time.
Yeah, you can simultaneously do hilarious things that will make both you and your opponent laugh at the locals, and you can also do things that are like genuinely meta shaking in the type of end board that this deck can set up with pretty reasonable consistency. And even the base setup of like cross sheep Dagda set necro. MBT himself even said in the video, like, if my thing is, if I had made that board, I would say I messed up. Cross sheep Dagda set necro fusion pass. Whoops, I screwed up my combo. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Them and you popped 4 of their cards.
And you summoned off cross sheep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you, I mean, you get the artifact side too. That's the thing, right? Even the minimal setup is lethal on board. Well,
speaking of lethal, you did want to mention in this video as like one of the ending points, the ways to get to lethal and like how funny they are. So I'll let you take the lead with this.
Okay, I feel like I've taken a lot of lead on this, but just want everybody to know, Outback did a lot of the theory behind the ratios, and Outback came up with Meister and Lilith. I'm just the guy who said, "Hey, let's play Necro Fusion in a combo deck." I happened to be the guy who could go to an event and get a pretty good result. So
it was a great result. Don't be modest. It was incredible. We're very happy with how the decks performed. As soon as we made the switch, as soon as I was like, "Hey Skyhawk, what if we don't go neg 4 to summon Harbinger and instead go +16 and end on a cross sheep in the extra monster zone?" That was the turning point for this deck, I would say.
That was the big revelation. Ending on cross sheep is so dumb. Like getting your resources, being able to chain block your tiger, getting to do just very, very dumb things, and like setting up that resource loop. With
it's monster reborn on your opponent's turn. It's like searchable, called by the grave. I'm not called by grave, sorry, called the haunted, but it's just better. Do you know what I mean? It's a resource loop in itself. You get to use it on your turn.
Summoning Octopus off of it is +2.
Octopus, bro. Buy out Octopus. It's the best card. It's the best Fluffle card.
Oh, yeah.
Alright.
So funny ways to make lethal. Obviously the simplest one for you Fluffle pilots, Sabertooth and Kraken in an open board state is a game. Toy Vendor and Eldritch the Golden Lord is game. Abyss Dweller, Cruel Whale, and any of level 4 is game. Because Abyss Dweller boosts all of your water monsters by 500, and not just itself. And it turns out, Cruel Whale is a water. Something else that's funny is that Kraken is a water. So
oh my gosh.
Kraken boosts to 26. So it's 26, 26, and then 22. So then literally anything in your deck can attack is game. Aside from those, if you own access code, we mentioned it before, a 4300 access code and a 3900 whale is also lethal. Tiger is very good at making lethal. Tiger, any Fluffle, and I think any one of your fusions is lethal on board. I think it doesn't matter which fusion it is, actually.
I think it boosts everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Tiger, any Fluffle, and Kraken is game. And then that is one of the major ones. The fact that most of the time your end board, because Artifact Scythe is a 2200 bead stick, your end board of a Tiger, Scythe, Cross Sheep, and a couple Fluffles with Toad is often just lethal. Dugares on a boosted Cruel Whale is game. So if you Dugares a 3900 whale, it becomes 78, and then 7812 is game. A Dugares boosted Kraken with Dugares and attack positions also came, because Kraken attacks for 4400 twice. That comes up actually a lot. It comes up a lot where you Frightfur Fusion for a Kraken, and you clear their board, and then you make Dugares and you double it to 44, and you just punch twice per game. The Dugares into Whale actually comes up a lot versus Dragoon, and that's something I wanted to bring up, because if they've dropped to 6000, a 7800 Whale over Verte is game. Because it's 7300 damage to their 6000 life points.
Oh my gosh! You don't even attack Dragoon. You don't even need to attack over Dragoon.
You just attack. You only have to attack over the Verte.
Oh my gosh! No.
I literally won game 1 against I think it was an invoked deck or something that had summoned Dragoon, and I literally just doubled Cruel Whale and I attacked over it for game.
So Cruel Whale hits harder than Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Wow.
Yeah, Cruel Whale itself runs over you.
Yeah.
3900 versus 35.
Get out of here, bro. They need that Lost World. Anyway, yeah, I think the last thing we should talk about, as I guess this is a closing thought, is how do you go about piloting this deck and optimization of hands specifically?
Brute force.
Yeah. If you misplay, just hit dog off vendor forehead. That's that's the point of the deck.
Yeah. No. Well, yes, but the best way to like learn is to sit in dueling book solo mode or Edo Pro, and just roll out a bunch of hands. Just because even like we've had people in the Discord that have been like doing a lot of test hands, right? Sitting there and being like, okay, why didn't I get to Dweller? What could I have sequenced differently? Did I need to use my repair better? Did I need to access Octo earlier? Did I need to make a Tiger to pop my own vendor to get the Fluffle that I wanted? What did I already see in my hand? Like I said earlier, like asking yourself those questions while you're doing a combo is really helpful. Another thing that is helpful for learning how to pilot this is like is those edge cases that you were like really good at discussing. Like, what do you do when you draw Lilith? What do you do when you draw Meister? What do you do when you miss on when you toy vendor draw Necro Fusion and have to discard? Don't panic. Here's how we fix it. And finding those weird setups like we didn't see Edge Imp Sabers, but we still were able to set up Toad Scythe Lock Pop 2. We didn't see Poly, but we were still able to get to Necro Fusion and Dogda Pass. We got Nibiru'd, but we could still set up Dogda Toad. I wanted to add a Dweller to this board. How could I have sequenced differently to make that a reality? So the best thing you can do is to just sit at your desk and just play out a whole bunch of hands, and you'll start to see that as you do that, once you get to like your 5th hand and your 10th hand and your 15th hand and your 20th hand, you'll already start to see that you're making better resource decisions. So
yeah,
that is, I guess, my final advice is just sit down and just give it a whirl.
Going on that, you always have to like, you can't assume that you've done everything correctly. Even Skyhawk and I, we have to like send replays to each other and be like, hey, this is like, I think this is optimized, but do you see a line in which we get one more hand card or one more set toy vendor or just one more resource in the grave? Because I would say 90% of the time you can actually find a line that is slightly more optimized than what you thought was the maximum. Anyway, welcome to this replay. This is a replay where I embarrass myself. It's late at night. Someone in the Necro Fusion Discord sent this replay to me, and they were like, sorry, they sent this hand to me, and they were like, Outback, how does this work? And I was like, oh, it's my favorite hand. I was like, Skyhawk, let me take this one, right? Because 1-for-1 and Edge Imp Chain, that's my jam. That's like that's my favorite combo in the deck. It's not actually a combo, guys. You have to have like another Fluffle name, right? But this is a hand where we only have one Fluffle and a lot of like bad cards, and I misplayed 3 times. And then I had to, like, every single time I misplayed, I had to reevaluate on my decisions I made to actually come up with the optimal board. And this could still be an optimal Skyhawk, I don't know. But we go 1-for-1, summon the Octopus, obviously. It's like the only Fluffle we have access to. We go Octo and Chain, which is just a casual +2, because Patchwork is a +1 and Octo's a +1. Very fair, by the way. But we get this line. We have a lot of Edge Imps. A lot of Edge Imps. We normal summon the Sabers. I think this is still correct. And we make this, which I do not think is correct after all. So I do some more thinking. I now go for a fusion line where I send repair, and then I think, oh, it's a Sabertooth combo because I need that extra body. But it's not a Sabertooth combo, Skyhawk, and we don't need to summon Sabertooth. But we got to summon. We summon Kraken anyway. At this point, I realized that repair can summon a Edge Imp from my hand. So I skip a step here. But what you would do normally is you would hold the Saber's summon until once you have a Dagda on board by using repair to special summon the Chain, make a Dagda, activate Sabers, put the Poly back on top, Meister effect, tribute the Sabers, activate Dagda, set the Scythe, summon Lilith, set the Necro Fusion, and even with this being one of the worst hands I've ever seen, you still Scythe Lock and pop 1, which is really cool. So you would just do this after summoning Dagda, so you have a on-field effect to trigger the Dagda, if that makes any sense. But yeah.
I think even like with this hand, there's an argument to not even get, because you already have Poly, there's an argument to not even get Oh no, actually, you have to get Patchwork to get access to Sabers. Yeah, never mind. Ignore
Yes.
me. Yeah,
So
no, I think this is the best line. Yeah.
the cool thing is that there was actually one more extension that we could have done, which was as you saw, I like summoned the sabers, and what this does is it allows us to link the Dagda off and link the Cruel Whale off to then summon the Cross Sheep, because I just passed on Cross Sheep. I passed on Cross Sheep, set Scythe, set Necro Fusion. But this is still decent because you still have a resource loop. You get to summon your chain. You can go Meister effect, tribute chain, summon chain from deck. Wait, does it have to be a different name? Oh, yeah, it has to be a different name. Never mind, I'm stupid. But anyway, you can link off the chain, and you can get to your Patchwork, and you still have plays. You know what I mean? It's not over. This is probably not enough, to be fair. Tiger Pop 1, Scythe extra deck lock, but you do have the resources for turn 3. You have the chain in hand, you have Meister on field, you get to search with chain, and then this was the top deck off the top. Foolish.
Yeah. Well,
foolish
and the thing
Barragers.
is, right? Important to note, if the effect of Artifact Scythe resolves, they have to clear all these cards off the board. Like, doing that without the extra deck, there are not a lot of dinosaurs, and maybe the only deck that has a good way to do that.
Yes. Dinosaur is probably the main thing that can combat this deck, but the issue is they're normally going to be summoning Dolka or something, and then like they can't Book of Moon the Cross Sheep, right? They can't Book of Moon the Cross Sheep. So you go Battle Phase, activate Necro Fusion, banish a bunch, summon Tiger, chainlink 1 Tiger, chainlink 2 Cross Sheep.
Also, Necro Fusion in Battle Phase?
Yes. Wait. We can do that, right? That's a play. What do you mean? That's a play.
Yeah.
That's a play. Yeah.
Yeah, you can Necro them in Battle Phase. If they just try to go for UCT. Or you can try to pop Scythe really early and force them to commit to Conductor. Appaloosa is also kind of nice to end on against Dino, because you can negate Miscanned effect and then be able to keep like doing stuff in main phase.
Yeah.
But,
this does show how far a bad hand can go, like a really bad hand, and how bad I am at Fluffle as well. But
the secret is that we're all bad at Fluffle. We're all just getting better.
that is the key. Hopefully, after the Lightning Overdrive format, we're all top tier, 0 inaccuracy Fluffle players. And we go and we just win an entire 3v3 LCS together or something.
Yeah. This has turned into insanely long video.
It has.
But thank you very much, Outback, for turning me on to Fluffle, and for hosting this up, because I think that even though this is long, if people take the time to learn this, it's really fun, really rewarding. Nothing in this deck is getting slated to hit on the ban list at all. It's very cheap. So without access code, without droplets, even with the expensive penguins and the expensive octopus, this deck could easily be built for between $80 and $120 US. So as a cheap way to enter the metagame, something that you can sink a ton of time into, and it's so much fun to play. Please, if you've gotten to the end of this video and you are at all interested, join the Necro Fusion Discord, join the Fluffle Discord, and try this thing out.
100%. It's like if you were to buy 3 structure decks and a few staples online, you could get this deck for the same price pretty much, and there's just a lot of room for growth. You know what I mean? Skyhawk, like the pilot, if you pick up this deck, you can play it for hours without getting bored of it, if that makes any sense. But yeah. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you made it to this point of the video, I think it might be 3 hours long. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to edit this. So if you guys don't see everything, I apologize. But maybe we can make an unedited cut. That would be so funny. But anyway, buy Octopus. That's all I have to say. Octopus is the best card.
Buy Octopus.
All right. Thank you.
The new wave. Make sure you get your super rare Necro Fusion.